It's an exciting Monday afternoon. We are here once more to go through what is happening in this great continent of ours on the program Africa Discourse. I'm your host, Wilson Marshall. Well, today we're taking a look at this silent but salient topic, the boggling the minds of so many persons in Africa. Globally, Africa has been seen as a country whose leaders don't want to leave power. They call it, or they term it, seatitism. They just coin the word because whenever they are there in the position, they don't want to leave. Now, there's other thing that's boggling the minds of persons, a group of persons globally, that whenever an African leader is removed from office or he or she retires from office, calling them back to give account of their stewardship of the people seems like mission impossible. It's like a no-go area. We have retinues of them. And about the Arab Spring, yes, Egypt hosting Mubarak. It's their typical example. After the razzmatazz, after court proceedings, was given a kind of a slap on the palm to just please go home and rest. What about Jacob Zuma right now? Yes, he's being charged. People like saying that that will not see the light of the day. But Mugabe also, he left power and nothing has been done, because you get to hear corruption allegations being leveled against him, but no proper documentation was done about it. It's like flim-flam. Nobody seems to be interested in bringing to book or questioning past African leaders for their deeds or their stewardship. Is it mission impossible? All these and more we'll take a look at on this discussion segment of Africa Discourse. I have veterans here with me in the studio to really throw more light on this. Why is it so? We want to really ponder, and how can this really be checked? I have a clergyman here with me in the studio, and he's a political analyst, local and international affairs. He's well grounded in it. Gentlemen, welcome, Reverend Humphrey and Rega. Welcome to the show, sir.
My pleasure.
I appreciate you coming. And of course, I have an environmentalist, legal practitioner, an activist, both local and international politics. Is well grounded. Gentlemen, welcome, Barrister Chima Williams. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Wilson.
All right. Well, the next person I really want to introduce, you can call him the barrister of the people, or the legal practitioner of the people, an activist also, social affairs commentators, talking about international and local politics. The man is well grounded in nature. Jeremy, welcome, Barrister A.B. Thomas. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, viewers at home.
All right, here we are with these mind-boggling questions about the reason why African leaders are not called to book after their stewardship. We have retinues of examples. The big question now is, in Africa, is it mission impossible to call back leaders that have served the people meritoriously or demeritoriously to come give account of their past deed while in office? Why is it so? Why is it so trending in Africa? I want to start off from you, Barrister A.B. Thomas. What's your thought on this?
Well, the failure of Africans to bring their early leaders to book is based purely on social, cultural, religious, and ethnic problems. These four problems have bedeviled us right from the times of the kingdoms, right from the times of the Ogisos, right from the times of the emperors. So when you look at the socio-cultural background of Africans, we have always given privileges, respect, maybe undue respect, to our elders. As a result of that, when your father is even doing what is wrong, in my place, Yoruba land, they say it is Omali, that's a bastard, who comes and sees somebody beating his father, and he will start asking, what is the problem? The first thing he will do is to start beating that person who is assaulting his father. Bringing it to national level, you'll find that when you try to say, oh, this man ruled this country, he committed XYZ crimes, and you now try to bring him to book within your own country. They will bring in religious issues, or maybe the new person is a Muslim, and the person you want to try is a Christian. They say, oh, you see, Christians are being persecuted. That's one. If you look at the ethno angle of it, oh, maybe the present person is Hausa, the other person is from Ijaw. Oh, is it because he's an Ijaw man, you are trying him? He's a minority. That is why you want to do this. That's another factor. Then if you look at the constitution of the country, it provides for immunity for whatever you do while you are in the office. But the constitution is silent as to what happens to you when you vacate office. So when you look at the factors I have mentioned earlier, the ethnic, the religious, the cultural, you get up and say you are putting your father on trial. You are putting an elder on trial. If you look at all that, plus the lacuna in the constitution, you'll find that most people who come in after the predecessor has ruled will not be in a sound political ground to willingly want to put the other man on trial. This is an African problem. Okay. Because in Brazil, the former presidents are standing trial.
Yes, we'll get there. We'll get there. You just hold on, Lolo da Silva. We'll get there. Reverend, what are your thoughts on this? Because Barrister Abel Thomas just laid a perfect foundation for this discussion, talking about various aspects of the society that seems to prevent or hinder personalities or citizens in African nations or countries to call their former president or to bring them to book.
Well, I want to agree with the submission of the barrister, but to lay this premise that one of the probable reasons why you cannot try African leaders is because we don't have strong institutional frameworks to regulate the activities of leaders. Rather, you have strong individuals who superimpose their personality on the various facets. The only difference we might have right now in South Africa is because the South African political environment was laid by whites. They were laid by other persons different from the African stock. And that's why today you can be talking of trying Zuma for corruption. Look at the other countries, Nigeria as part of it. The president is the leader of the political structure. He has influence in the judiciary. He has influence in the apparatus of government. So how are you going to document his activities to enable you to decipher whether he has committed a crime or not, and then to be able to say, let's try while he's out of office? Because the reason why they say don't try while he's in office is that you shouldn't distract his attention, let him be able to do his work. But you're able to document. And I think we have this culture of the corruption nature of the black man has become so endemic that people are beginning to ask whether corruption and the black society are intertwined and they cannot be separated. I don't believe in it. I believe in the fact that every human being has this godly spirit within it. It depends on how you moderate your life. But I believe that until and unless there is these strong institutions instead of strong persons, we might not be able to bring the African leaders into to record, to even say account. If you set up a business, for instance, and you appoint a general manager, at the end of the year, you expect the general manager to render accounts of the business that you have given to him. The leaders in Africa don't see themselves as servants to the people. They see themselves as lords, just like Barrister said. They still take their rules from the traditional environment where the king is you can't ask a king how he managed the domain. It's a taboo, and that in itself creates more problems. They say power corrupts, absolute power corrupts, absolutely. when you give one man the powers to determine everything. And that's why you find that even when they are even leaving, they put stooges of them so that they will cover their books and their grounds so that you don't have things to do. So I believe that it is a deficiency in our moral life that have created this kind of culture that we have decided to see as if it's normal. It's an abnormal situation that we have turned to be normal. And I hope and I pray that in subsequent years, even as we go, some people say, well, if you look at the youth of today, the corruption level of the youth of today is more than the old men. So you are not even thinking of how you are going to rectify it. But until we begin to build strong institutions that will regulate humans, and not humans regulating the institutions, we can never. In America, you can't do that because the Constitution regulates you. And the structures are there. They tell you, for instance, the Attorney General of America is not subject to the President's decision. The Department of Justice does not take directives from the President. But here, everybody takes directives. And you cannot document evil of the man who gives you life, as you may think.
Wow, document evil of the man who gives you life. I'll come back to you to really throw more light on that statement. Barrister Chima Williams, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, I agree totally with the positions of my learned friend and my clergyman. But just to add to the fact that, breaking it down, in my thinking through this, I came out with 7 reasons, why African leaders are not easily tried. One is that most African countries lack strong democratic institutions. Now let's begin to break it down. When President Araga mentioned strong institutions, it is all encompassing. But if we are talking of political leadership, we now break it down to if you do not have a free, fair democratic process, then how dare you think that you will get something that you can really say is your own out of it? So because part of service accountability is what strengthens democratic culture. So once you know that at the end of your tenure you will come and give account of your stewardship to the people, it will act as a check on you. And that can only happen when we have strong democratic institutions and which will now begin to grow the democratic culture in the society. It is not something that, is a given. People have to struggle for it. That is one. Secondly, is that we do not have in Africa strong anti-corruption institutions or agencies. What we've had in most African countries, are anti-corruption institutions and agencies set up, to a very large extent, to checkmate opposition. So until we grow, when my learned friend mentioned of Brazil, is the institution, it is not the president that empowered and says start pursuing, it's the institution, the man that is in charge of the institution, things that, whoever has been involved should be brought to book. Strong anti-corruption institution. If you leave that, you look at the political will of the political actors at particular point in time, you will now begin to understand why an incumbent president will find it difficult, to challenge or scrutinize or put up a process to interrogate the activities of his or her, predecessor. Because the thinking definitely will be when you finish, you are going to face the same. And none of them wants to face that. So they will now hide under the cultural, structures and beliefs that you cannot ask the king a question. Presidents are no kings. They are elected for a tenure. Kings are born. Presidents are not born. They are made. So there are two different things. But because of the fact that you know, most African presidents are almost as guilty as the others, or want to be as guilty as their predecessors. So it becomes difficult for one to kick the lid open. Now, if you leave that, you look at political structuring, you know, is there internal democratic practices in the political parties that we have in most African countries, including Nigeria? It doesn't exist. One man decides everything, and the wishes of one man, you know, determines what becomes the wishes of the party, whether the rest likes it or not.
You're right.
Okay, this is a challenge. Of course, we can talk about Zuma because, you know, internal political democracy played out. That is why we didn't have any, you know, issue of who succeeds if he is kicked out, because structures are already laid.
Okay.
Now, I said 7, I've named 4.
Okay, you just hold on. Okay, we'll come to another 3.
You just hold on. We'll come to another 3, please. Okay. Now, if you take a look at examples of ex-African leaders or presidents, you get to see in the category Hosni Mubarak, Jacob Zuma, let's say this or that man that ruled for more than 30, I keep forgetting his name, Mugabe. You just name it, the lists just keep on coming up. Except for one man that was tried externally that is serving his jail term in the UK. That is something about Charles Taylor. Others seems to be above the law. People like saying that the reason why this is happening is because power don't reside in the people in Africa. How true is this?
I adopt my earlier submissions as to the causes why it is difficult to try our leaders. The cultural, ethno-religious, I stand by that. But besides those ones, and to answer your question directly, you'll find that the attitude of the common African man has always been that of a docile, in quote, docile person. I used to have an Igbo man in my area, he's late now, when we are talking about the community. He will say, Omakame, Omakame. But he wants to say Omakame, but he will say Omakame. He said, but when it is coming to Christmas period and there's no light, then it will command, it will join you, it will consign you. Because everybody will contribute money to buy cow. They now want to communal electricity. Then they will not want to put them in one fridge. Then they need electricity. So what is happening is that once the African man gets food to eat, it becomes docile to what policies are being implemented to his detriment. Even the so-called elites, when they themselves get some good positions, they don't care to ask, why are these policies being propagated and implemented? So it is the same docility that affects the illiterates, that affects the elites. But in spite of this, you'll find that we have the legislature that makes laws. We have the judiciary. We have the executive. Each of these arms are supposed to be independent of each other. But in most African countries, you find that since the presidents are behaving like emperors, they are behaving like kings, they are behaving like conquerors of their own citizens. The arms of government that are supposed to checkmate, because when this idea of separation of powers was mooted in France those days, the idea was to have one arm of government act as a check and a balance on the powers of the other. But what do you find in Africa? We copied the principles from abroad. But in implementation, how do you have a judiciary, for instance, that's supposed to be independent, going cap in hand to beg the executive, whether at state level or federal level, we need money to build courtrooms. We need money to give to a judge who has high pay to go abroad. And this breaking up of these funds depends on the whims and caprices of the executive. So what do? You have to kowtow, you have to dance to the tunes of the executive. Such an executive person will also not want somebody in judiciary who tomorrow, when he's no more there, will not cover his tracks. Then you look at the legislature that is supposed to be making laws, and say, look, if you are executive and you are making laws that are inimical to the progress of the citizens, we are going to go to court, to the judiciary, to ask for interpretation of what you are doing, whether you have exceeded your bounds, or whether what you are doing is legally valid, or whether it is wrongful. The legislature, I have said, because in Africa, the only symbol of democracy in Africa is legislature. When the army comes, they remove the president. They remove the legislature. They sack legislature. Okay. But the executive arm remains. Okay. The judicial arm remains. But that symbol of democracy is weakened to the extent that the executive will continue to determine what happens in the legislative houses. Right. So that when that legislative house is out, the incoming one is more interested in getting their own part of the national cake rather than confronting the executive, or rather than trying to find out what did the past executive do, rightly or wrongly. All right. They will not. All right. They are interested in recouping the money they spent, the investment they spent in campaigning, hoping to make profit. And this profitism or capitalism in our politics reduces your ability to question the past government.
All right. Now, people are like saying that amongst other reasons is that African countries don't have strong party structure and manifesto. After all, it's the party that projects this person. Like what is said, the one in charge controls everything. Once you become a president or become a governor, your word is law. Is that a factor to consider in this discourse?
Well, it's a factor to consider. You need to consider almost all the things that play out in the administration of justice of a country. The party process is the beginning of what we might be called a good or a bad governance, because it is who you bring up that now reflects on who you are. It depends. There's no eternal democracy, and the choice that have been made and really not the choice of everybody, because they're not allowed to participate in democratic structure. That's where the legislature has failed in African context. In a democracy, the legislature is really the king. Because the legislature, yes, the legislature has the power of the purse to determine whether you spend money or not. They have the right power. They can remove a president if he's not going according to the Constitution. They can ask for the removal of judges if they found, by reason of what is happening, they're not according to law. But in Africa, the legislature is almost dead because the executive knows that this is what it is. They weaken the structure. And military interventions in African culture has also helped to depreciate the value of the legislature, because that's where the people's power is. The people's power resides in the legislature, and they are the voice of the people to determine. When laws are made, they also have a right and power to veto a president's veto, which means the finality of a law does not rest in the presidency. It goes back to the executive, to the legislature. So what do you find in Africa? The legislature is virtually at the beck and call of the executive. Almost all the laws you see that are passed in the legislature are executive bills. Most of the individual members' bills hardly pass or hardly get assented to. We just have a recent case in Nigeria where we're talking about the bill that were sent back. In an attempt to override the bill, look at what happened. There were political gambling here and there. And today we're in a limbo as to what the situation is. That is because people do not understand that if you weaken or kill the legislature, you have killed the democracy. You have killed democracy. There's no democracy in the process. And once you don't have democracy in practice, you can't bring anybody to justice. Because it is the people being able to ask questions. I asked somebody the other day, so you send a legislature, for instance, to the House. How many times has he come to call a town hall meeting to determine what your mind is concerning the situation? They don't. They don't even also understand what it is, that you are not representing yourself, you represent the people. And once you have, and again, it's because you ask your legitimacy. How many of them will have the votes of the people to represent them in the first place? These are some of the things. So there is, the structure in the African context is screwed up. Again, almost all the African countries, because of, again, of their cultural leanings, of their myopic sectional relation, we don't have cohesive African countries. We only have parchments. Again, these are foreign interventions that patch some people together. But once you have been patched together, how much have we been able to do? I asked somebody the other day, when you ask who are you, he said, I'm a Yoruba man. He doesn't say I'm a Nigerian.
I'm a Yoruba man.
So that's what it is, or I'm an Igbo man. But you go to America, he will say I'm American. He doesn't tell you I'm from Texas, I'm from Arizona. That's not relevant. You see, we need to have that understanding. Now, first of all, we have to be Nigerian. So when you are debating a process, when you are debating a law, don't look at your village nature. Look at the in the contextual manner of how it affects the Nigerian nation. If one man, you will keep talking of African leaders. Go and look at, that's why there is so much of poverty, there's so much of deprivation, because one man cannot think for everybody. He thinks only for his family. And most of the time, his cohorts. You know, there's no participation in the issue. And nobody can call you to say, ask questions. You ask questions, the next day you may not be alive to see what you're about. So leaders in Africa rule with fear, not with the will of the people. And once you have introduced fear, then who is going to ask you questions?
Wow. Once you introduce fear, who is going to ask you questions? That means fear seems to be the tool that African leaders use to put the people on the check. You have 3 more points to go, right? But before you give out these points, I want to ask you this question. Not like saying that from research, it took the intervention of an external body to bring an African leader to book. Talking about Charles Taylor, the International Criminal Court, where he was charged, allegations leveled against him with proofs and all, and he was sentenced. And Africans are like, you don't have the right to judge our case because you are being unfair to us. Uhuru Kenyatta threatened to pull out of the ICT, which eventually did. I think so, he did that. So right now, does power now reside in the continent or outside the continent? I mean, it's getting more and more confusing and annoying. Does it take an external body to bring these people to book? What is happening to the legal system in Africa? If you take a look at some of these houses, they have the legislative arms of government in all African nations. You see them being paid. Of course, they do come for sitting, they deliberate. So what is really the problem?
Thank you very much, Mason. I think my answer to this will dovetail to my remaining 3
all right.
situations. Now, what you've just talked about Charles Taylor is the International Criminal Court process. And mind you, it tries a different kind of issue. For now, crimes against humanity, okay, or war crimes, as it is popularly called. But the point is that crime against humanity is a little bit put far from the people. Even though Charles Taylor wouldn't have been convicted if there were no Liberians, okay, who made complaints. And that is the beginning of the ICC process. You have to make a complaint internally, and then for the ICC prosecutor or prosecution to now accept that there is an investigatable case, and then they will investigate, and when they are convinced that there is a triable case, then it comes up these processes are done behind the scene. It is not, so publicized, okay, until maybe when it matures, and then people get to know that Charles Taylor had been taken to Europe for trial and he'd been convicted and sentenced. And for us, because some of us are trying to get ourselves involved in the ICC processes, we think that the only way and to cushion the position of Africans and African leaders on the ICC process to say that you are trying our best people while Europeans are not being tried is because the ICC process has not, brought itself to talk about economic issues, things that affect the everyday person in the streets of a country. Okay? So when you talk about the misdeeds of a political leader, going by what we have been discussing, people see it as, well, it is because he's an Hausa man, because he's an Igbo man, because he's a Yoruba man, that is why it takes external forces to come in. Okay? But if you touch, I tell you, whether you are an Igbo, an Hausa, or Yoruba person, or a Do, or a Shekiri, or Urobo, or a Jo, okay, whoever you are, or Idoma, once your economy is touched, the thing that puts food on your table is touched, you will no longer remember that your language. Okay, so the point is that the ICC process is a little bit distanced from the people, because as the processes, commences and continues, many people don't know about what is happening apart from the, complainants and those that are involved in the processes. Now, bringing back to my 3 points, okay, you see, why will the African leaders not complain against the ICC process? Because if you check the corridor of power, there is recyclement. They recycle themselves, okay? And that is where, for Nigeria, there's a picture that circulated at the social media where President Buhari, former President Olusegun Obasanjo, former President Muhammadu Buhari, T.Y. Danjuma, all of them that former President Sani Abacha, all of them were in one picture playing draft. So among the 5 or 6 of them, the only person that has not been president of this country is T.Y. Danjuma. So who knows whether President Buhari will hand over to him to complete the circle?
Well, we are not sure of that.
Now,
we are not sure of that.
I am coming. So
okay,
it is power recycling within a circle, and you do not think that within such a circle that they will come to, open themselves or by trying each other.
Yeah.
That is one. Now the remaining 2 are, they are no strong, fearless, transparent, individual political actors in African, environments that will do what the man in Brazil is doing. He's an individual. He was given an assignment, given a position, and then he now looked and said, with this position, I have powers to do this and do this and do this, and then plunged into it. Okay? What we have in Nigeria, you can get people that are strong-willed, strong characters, but they may be deficient in transparency and accountability issues.
All right.
That brings them down.
All right.
Some may have that,
okay,
be transparent and accountable, but they are not strong-willed.
Strong-willed.
Now the last is the one that affects all of us seated here, and the people that are looking and watching and listening to us. Okay? In African society, just alluding to what Senior Eddie Thomas had said earlier, maybe because of the cultural backgrounding, we don't have a virile, strong, questioning civil populace.
Hold it there. Questioning civil populace. We'll be right back to continue the discussion after this break. We're taking a look at the failed trial and conviction of African Express. president? Is it mission impossible? Why is it so? Do stay with us.
In 11 venues in one country at Russia 2018 World Cup on June 14 to July 15, 2018. Independent Television presents 2018 World Cup Countdown Live Show with Comrade Emerson. Get the latest team news, players' profiles, the thrills and frills heralding the 2018 World Cup every Wednesday on Independent Television World Cup Live Countdown Show with Comrade Emerson. This is 1 hour of unlimited sports entertainment powered by Independent Television. This event is proudly sponsored by Global Horn Industry Limited, manufacturers of quality PVC ceilings with choice colors and importer of security doors. Kilometer 10 Benin Sapler Road by the Benin Bypass, Benin City. Asagba Mobile Phone World, dealers of mobile devices such as iPhone, Samsung, Infinix, Tecno, Fero, plus repairs of mobile devices at Omegatron Plaza, 47 Airport Road, Benin City. EDS Paints and Building Accessories, Kilometer 12 Benin Sapler Road by Ogege Community, Benin City. This event is supported by Writings Electronics Company International Limited, manufacturer of writings inverters, writings alternator boosters, 30 Federal Government Guest College Road, Bowo, Benin City. Fresh Mobile Niger, dealers of phones ranging from Tecno, Gioni, Infinix, iPhones, and lots more, laptops and accessories, 119 Upper Mission Road, opposite UBA, Benin City. Mr. Erosa Agbonifo, Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer, ATEC Global Limited, 64 Airport Road, Benin City. Senator Pharmacist Matthew Urokide, Senator representing Edo South Central District and Chairman Senate Committee on Public Accounts. Toby Modi International Company Limited, electronics, electrical merchant, importers and sales of all kinds of Jenny Electronics, 114 Mission Road, opposite Echo Bank, Benin City. White Waters Grant Services and Logistics Limited, producers African Softwood Soap and Echo Bathing Gel, 50 Ohoro Village, Ubowo, Benin City. For advert placement and inquiries, please call the following number: 0802 3420 715, 0703 5278 527, or the Commercial Department, ITV Radio, Glasshouse Airport Road on 0708 365 2474.
All right, we're taking a look at the impossibility or almost impossibility of bringing back or calling back African leaders to book after their stewardship. Mind you, you can follow us live on our website at itvradioNigeria.com/live to see what you're doing. But still, you can join us on our Twitter handle at ITV Radio NG. What about also our YouTube channel? Yes, at itvradioNigeria.com. Just go to that place, you get to see all that we are doing in our bouquet, Star Times, Go TV, 107 130. You know what to do to get involved with this discussion. Barrister A.B. Thomas, he talked about something, but there was no time for him to really express it. Really had to go for a break. Familiarity, recycling of the same persons. In Egypt, it happened. Hosni Mubarak, al-Sisi, was the right-hand man, so to speak, of Hosni Mubarak because he was in charge of the military. If you come down also to Zimbabwe, Mnangagwa also was very, very used to the man that just left. Yeah, if you go down again to South Africa, the ANC is like a clique. It's what's really happening that's really affecting the trials of this ex-president from being brought or called to justice after their stewardship.
Well, thank you very much. We've all agreed here that the engine room of democracy is the legislature. And if you look at the countries you just mentioned, these are people who have been together for 30 to 35 years. So how do you expect them to bring anybody to trial? In a book written by Professor Omori of blessed memory, which I read a few days ago, I was reading it for the third time. He discussed his encounter with General Babangida over why he could not stick out his neck for the restoration of the victory of M.K. Abiola based on June 12 election. And one particular point he kept on repeating. He said, Sani will kill me. Sani will kill me. Sani has done me a lot of favor. For decades, he has done me a lot of favor. The Prof now said, who is Sani you are talking about? He said, Sani Abacha. Now, with retrospect, one can now see why he stepped aside and left Sani to be the chief of defense with a weakling like Shoneko.
Now, hold on.
Okay,
now,
sorry.
Come on, watch your language.
Okay. With a civilian like,
okay, better.
With a civilian like Shoneko.
Yeah, because he wants a civilian.
A former USC technocrat who does not have to handle a gun. They put him there as interim of government. The idea was to do the relay race of changing battle from one military man to the other. So when Shagari lost, Buhari came in. When they discovered that Buhari was already losing face before Nigerians, they did another relay race and gave it to another northerner, independence of Babangida. How Babangida was also going, he gave another relay race back to another northerner, Sani Abacha. And it was God that intervened because they were already doing who the cap fits. She's going to wear it to transmutate from a military uniform to Agbada. Now, with this scenario of battle, relay race, I was telling you, and with what my friend said earlier on, that if you have some pictures of what has happened over 40 years ago, where Basanjo, Danjuma, Abacha, Babangida were playing draft. And the only person who has not become a president among them is Danjuma. If you look at this set, how do you want Buhari to probe Obasanjo? How do you want Buhari to probe Sani Abacha if he to be alive? In fact, he took a job after being a head of state. He took a job of chairman of PTF under Sani Abacha.
All right, now just take it up a notch to African continent.
Move now,
yeah.
No. I mean, you have to start from your home.
Yeah, please just go up a little bit. Yeah.
If you're not, okay, I know your problem. So if you not take it up to South Africa,
yeah,
you'll find that in South Africa, those who are talking of trying the outgone president, Zuma, they've all been members of the same ANC. They've been members of ANC for about 30 or 40 years. So nothing will come out of it because of that barakot, that group thing. Then if you go to Egypt, you find that this same man, Assisi, was chief of army staff. In fact, the only reason why he has kept Morsi in prison has to do with pure religious difference. Pure religious difference. So if you come to Niger Republic, it took African Union to finally summon the courage that, look, we can't be blaming international criminal courts for trying Africans alone. Let us also try this one. They took him to where? Senegal, to try him. What I'm trying to tell you in essence is that it will take a long time before Africans can try their past leaders. It will take a long time. No matter what you are saying, they have the nature of offense they have committed. And that long time will depend on the kind of legislature existing in that particular country.
Okay.
Because Rwanda is a good example. With all the atrocities committed in Rwanda, with over 3.5 million people losing their lives in the genocide, what did they do? They set up a Truth and Reconciliation Committee. But today, Rwanda is one of the countries that is fast developing in the whole world. Right. Now, if you look at, sorry again, back to Nigeria, the parliament in Nigeria is working very hard. And if all parliaments in Africa can divorce themselves from the parties that are in majority,
okay,
they will be able to make good laws that will not only stand the current transition, that will be in existence after the current president has gone.
Okay.
So what they should do is to amend the constitution.
Okay.
And when you amend the constitution and the president refuses to assent, you override his veto power.
All right. I'll come back to you, Barrister A.B. Thomas. Now, let me come to you, Reverend Humphrey. He raised the point saying no strong individual. You can link it up to activism. That activism is totally dead in Africa, so to speak. That is the reason why the leaders have been called to book. You never seen a group of persons or an individual sticking up his or her neck saying, we want this man to answer for what he has done the way he served in an African nation. Would you want to pitch a tent with him?
Well, I would differ a little bit because I have never been an advocate of strong individuals. I'm an advocate of strong institutions. There's no one individual person that can turn the situation around. You need layers of individuals or layers of persons, but it does have to be with structures. And I keep saying, if you don't have, like we're saying, if you don't have a good legislature, you don't have people who understand the reason why they're in parliament on behalf of the people to do what needs to be done, you cannot have the courage. It is the legislature. Look at what happened in America, for instance. Every move by the president is challenged by the parliament, looking at the laws and statutes that makes it. If it goes beyond that, they go to court to determine the veracity of that law. And some of them have been challenged and thrown away. Today, there is no court in Nigeria that can void an act of the executive. It is practically impossible. And we also see things. I'm not a lawyer, but I see things from outside.
I agree with you.
Practitioner, why you agree with him?
I agree. The executive has specific judges that handles cases belonging to them. And those cases never see. And again, we also have the trying period of our cases is too long in Nigeria. Sometimes you get discouraged as to whether you should continue. I do not talk about the legal fee. But since there are some of the things, we need to ask ourselves these basic questions. How long should justice be determined? You see in America, in 2 days or in 1 day, you can determine a case. And once cases are not determined urgently, and by the time it goes longer, people lose interest. And that's all. And that's how many corrupt cases in Nigeria today have been for the past 20 years. They've been in court. How do you, most of them, some of them are even dead when you are trying to try. And some of them have finished eating their money when you are trying to recover. These are some of the things. So you need to, these are some of the issues. We have been trying to amend constitution since 1999. Each time it gets somewhere, it gets stuck, it's dead. Because somebody somewhere feels uncomfortable. And that's why I asked ourselves the question. We have not been truthful to ourselves. We have not been conscientious enough to say this is what we are looking for. And like you say, even the civil society, unfortunately, the civil society in Nigeria that ought to be advocating has also been paralyzed by politics. Most of the civil society organizations are being sponsored by politicians. And so, you see, politics, the politics in Africa, which doesn't generate good governance and productivity, has eaten deep into our fabrics. And they've destroyed everything. That's why our education is destroyed. We're talking about education. You see, ignorance is what is happening. You ask a young man on the street, let's discuss about this nation. He says, okay, I want to eat food. He doesn't understand. I told somebody, I'm a Christian. Most of the problem we have today is that Christians don't even believe that they need to participate in politics. And I said, look, this church you are building, one person can raise a motion and it's destroyed. Apart from that, you ask yourself the question, if you are a citizen and you refuse to participate in politics, what kind of Christianity are you? Because as a citizen, you ought to participate in the development of the country. But we don't have civic education. Our educational system is being paralyzed. Today there are strikes everywhere. That's the question. How much does the legislator receive? How much does the worker receive? You're talking about morality. if you watch American politics, some politicians have resigned because they talk about the issue of their relationship with women and not. Once it's mentioned that there's the element of fact, they resign. Today, even when you catch a politician stealing, you will see ask you, what are you talking about? And you who was supposed to be a whistleblower has also been blown whistle. These are second. How sincere? Oh my! I once asked a president of a student government. We were driving on the road, and one of the girls on the other side was holding koboko. And I was asking, I said, "What are you doing with koboko? You are a student union government president, so you want to clear people on the road. So when you become governor, what happens? You will clear everybody. I was in Lagos recently, and that's one of the worst things I've ever received. The president was coming to Lagos. The whole Lagos was paralyzed. People fled from. See, are we really democratic? Are we really talking about human beings, or we're talking about servant-conquered lordship?
All right, it's like Barrister Chima Williams. You really want to have the last say on today's story.
Thank you very much.
Okay, let us see how it goes. All right, Chima Williams, if you start, don't worry, go ahead.
The issue here is I want to react to, what I said about
activism,
strong personalities. And I did mention, the man in Brazil, no matter how good the institutions, because the institutions are the bedrock, strong institutions, that was the first thing I mentioned. When you have those institutions, and then you have men of conscience, men and women of conscience, that is where you derive the benefit of having strong institutions. Okay? Now, if you don't have strong personalities, if what is happening today, if Chief Ganefa Wemi, may God bless his soul, is alive today, would he have kept quiet? These are the type of strong personalities that I talk about. You may not, I'm not talking of a president, because I've said this always become like my mantra, that no matter how strong, a political leader is, it does not take the place of strong institutions. So, the point here is, the only way out is to build strong institutions. And the bastion of that strong institution building is the People's Parliament. Once the legislative arm of government, rediscovers itself and win itself of partisan positioning, because what happens today in Nigeria when the parliament raises question against the executive, the other Simpson will be, in party, there is discordance in the party. Why should a party in the majority raise issues?
Nigerians on their own.
Our time is up.
Apart from structures, Nigerians should participate in government.
Our time is up.
That is the gentlemen,
thank you so much, gentlemen. Thank you so much, gentlemen. Our time is up. I know we have so much to say about this. It's like 1 hour isn't enough. Not to worry, it's a continuance. So we just have to take a break for today. Subsequently, we will continue this discussion because we're here to educate, inform, and of course, more education to the people. Not to worry.
To participate.
Yeah. Tomorrow on International Forum, do I allow them to go deep dive into this, take a look at what happened to Lula da Silva? Why was he really arrested? Yes, an ex-president charged, convicted, and detained. Can really happen in African climate. That's going to be the topic for tomorrow on International Forum, same time, okay? Gentlemen, I really appreciate your wonderful analysis, top-notch. Appreciate what you did today. Well, see you around tomorrow. Bye for now.